G'day, legend. Here's a bit of a funny one for you. I'm hosting and Boldo's the guest. Welcome to Classic Cronulla Chronicles. This is a series we've started where we look into a deep dive of a classic match against the team we're playing against this week. And what better way to start than 1999, everyone's favourite year right up until that final second half performance. This one against the Warriors, a very hot and cold side. We end up being minor premiers. We know that in 1999, but this one, how do we think it's going to go? What memory do we have, David? Do you have any memory of this one?
Well, firstly, for starters, you stole my material on saying the Warriors at this time were hot and cold that we just did in the warm-up. So that's all right. I know not to give my best material away to you, but the Warriors were hot and cold. I distinctly remember one Warriors match, which I'm pretty sure was a 1995 one where the Sharks were winning for all money and then Ben Samet dropped the ball off a dropout when it looked like we were going to score. So I remember us losing that one. This one, I have a feeling it's going to be close. It might have set up a kind of run towards the end of the season, and one of our legends might have done something pretty good. And I'd be very surprised if you picked a losing match for the classic Cronulla Chronicles. However, given our form guide on this show, it wouldn't surprise me if you picked one where we lost 42-0. So let's get into it.
Yeah, well, given my very first live performance for the show this season, or live performance ever, really was to cover our very worst or biggest semi-final capitulations. You may think that I look at the negative stuff, but this is all positive. Highly doubtful I'm going to show anything other than a win or maybe a draw, predominantly wins. So let's roll in and rip in and have a look at this one. Slide, please. On that taking your line of hot and cold, yes, the joys of live, or in this case, pre-recorded videos, I had a brain fart and went, oh, that sounds good, I'll steal your line. But anyway, so we're looking at the form guide. At the time of the match, Sharks was sitting second, Warriors 15th. That belied what was to follow. The Sharks form leading in, so that year we'd won 13 matches, 5 losses, and had one bye up until that point. We started the season with a whole stack of wins in a row and then had an unlucky loss where we gave it away at the last minute to Penrith, and that was our first loss of the year. But heading into this match, the Sharks were in a bit of a lull in form, and they were starting to cop the chokers tag somewhat unwarrantedly, based on or unreasonably, given the following weeks that were to ensure. Yeah, so that was an origin-affected match. So I'll quickly roll into it. So the start of that 5 matches run, round 15, we lost to the Roosters away 14. We went down 32-14. We had quite a few origin players out. We then lost...
around the time we were supplying a lot of Queensland players.
Yes, you had Chris McKenna, Martin Lang, Matt Rogers, Steve, Jason Stevens was playing for New South Wales. So David Peachey definitely should have been... Sorry, say that again.
We had 4-1.
Yes, yeah, we had 4-1. Probably should have had Peachy in there too, but he obviously got a start the following year. The following week after the Roosters, we have played ET's 300th match at the Shark Park. I'm sure you remember that, where our stand got its name. It was previously just the Western stand, became the Andrew Eddingshausen stand that day. Nick Graham had a blinder, and he cut through wide on the right, and ET backed up on the inside to score the second last try.
One of the great Shark Park tries.
It was one of the great. ET was fishing around for it and finally got his try to finish it off. So 32-4 win. But you're right, that 22-0 loss. I remember watching that on a wet Friday night at Parramatta Stadium. I was watching it on Channel 9's delayed coverage, and Clinton Shavovsky scored 2 tries from bombs, and they just belted us. We had quite a few forwards out.
Yeah, we never in it.
Never in that one, and that was telling. The media were getting all over it, although we had quite a few players out. So Eels were first, we were second. We then lost to the Bulldogs the following week at ANZ Stadium, or as it was known, Stadium Australia then, or Core Stadium these days. Tim Madison scoring one of his only tries for the club in that one. We went down 14-6. And then following that week, in the lead up to this match, we're playing the Raiders on a Friday night at Shark Park. If we lost that match, we could have finished the weekend as low as 5th. We won. The great Colin Best scored a hat-trick. I think it was 8-all at half-time. We ran away 24-8 winners, and that set us up well for this trek across the ditch to play the Warriors. The Warriors, on the other hand, they'd only had 5 wins, 12 losses, 2 byes. They had a good win over the Bulldogs in there. You can see a 30-10 win at home against them, a 22-4 win against Balmain the following week. They lost high-scoring affairs to the Panthers and the Raiders, and the commentators were saying how good they were up in Brisbane against the Broncos. The Broncos were starting to have a late-season surge after a poor start to the season. They snuck into the finals in 8th spot, and we famously beat them in the first 1v8 match in the McIntyre system, first week of the finals, but the Broncos won that one 24-16, but the Warriors were right into the final minute or two of that match. So it ended up setting up to be a tight affair, and that's how it ensued. So we'll flick a slide and have a look at the team lists. Look on the right, we'll have a look at the good guys first. So Vangana, yes, number 4. I'll talk about Vangana in a sec. 2 Vanganas actually, but the Sharks missing Matt Rogers, missing Jason Stevens, but you're looking there, it's still an all-star back line of Best and Howland on the wings. They played big matches, and Eddingshausen and Mellor in the centres, and obviously the great Peachy at the back. Dykes and Healy, we were talking about the other night, famous Sharks late 90s halves pairing. Andrew Pearce replacing Jason Stevens in the front row. Dean Treaster, one of my favourite players of all time at hooker. Shame that his text there at lowercase. I'll make sure that I get that right next time. But Martin Lang, Sean Ryan. Yeah. He's
Andrew Pearce.
Yeah. That's it. Little between Lang and Pearce. But Sean Ryan, Chris.
When Matt Williams does the slides and I don't.
Exactly at the last minute. It's a work in progress.
Such a good-looking team, isn't it?
It is. Even with the outs, it's a good-looking team. And even looking, so Sean Ryan, Chris McKenna, Nick Graham is a great back row. And looking at the bench, Sam Osmunger, a player whose career was maligned with injury. He was another one of my favourites. Had a great match later in his career. 2 great matches, actually. One against South, he got a hat-trick. I think it was the first hat-trick of his career. And the Broncos one where he finally scored 2 tries at
Luke
the New
Stewart, when he
Stadium.
switched into the centres that time, he was good too.
Yeah. Well, a bit of a teaser for you, for those playing at home. We might be covering that very match, the 0-1 semi-final against the Bulldogs next week. But we'll look forward to that. And obviously the great John Lang was coach. The Warriors...
that match next week, that'll be terrific. We will definitely do that. Oh,
yeah,
well, I will definitely join as the special panelist.
Lock it in. Glad you are, David. I'll see if I can steal your material then. But looking at the Warriors...
He was a good player for the Auckland Warriors.
So was a lot of their players. So Nigel Vangana, you see, this match is available on YouTube. We'll put the link in the show notes or the comments field of the big episode we do this week. But
link in the description. And make sure if you are watching this video, hit the like and subscribe button to give us some Google algorithm love.
Of course.
Especially for all you Auckland, New Zealand Warriors fans who might just be watching this week. Why wouldn't you support us?
Exactly. But future Shark, Nigel Vangana, you'll see young Nigel Vangana carved up in the centres, and I believe it was of relation. Joe Vangana, I think, was his cousin, carved up and always gave us trouble from prop. He was huge, and he ran a really good decoy line for Stacey Jones to get a try later in this match. But you look at actually the bench.
Robert Mears was good. Leo Ryan was fast.
Yeah. Yep, Jason Deeth, Logan Swan. Even on the bench, you got really young Ali Lauatiti and Jerry CSC, who end up being key players in their push to the grand final in 2002. So even though the Warriors had a not particularly successful 99 or 2000 seasons, 01, 02, 03, 04, this skeleton of a team, including Stacey Jones, ended up progressing into one that made a grand final and multiple prelims. So
John Simon was just coming out of a couple of years earlier, had been playing State of Origin. So they weren't a terrible team, these guys.
No, exactly. And John Simon was very handy. So we'll roll forward to the key moments of this match, and I might just click through. So early on, Warriors took the 2, always take the 2. But the Sharks got a really good try from Adam Dykes in the 11th minute. The Warriors were basically camped on our line for the first 10. It was wet, it was windy, it was classic Auckland conditions. But Dykes did a nice little tidy wraparound. McKenna did a wraparound and then popped an offload out the back, and Dykes ran around the left wing and scored and put it down next to the post. Unfortunately, Mitch Healy from just the left of the post shanked it, which was a bit of a worry for what was to come, but the Sharks were up 4-2. After that, it was a good early try to the Warriors involving a grubber and a good interchange of passes for Lee Oden-Ryan to score, to put them up 10-4, and then right on halftime, a bomb went up. Lee Oden-Ryan had the ball knocked out of his hands, and the great Peachy came through and scored. They gave it a try. These days it probably would be reviewed and would see that a Sharks hand had knocked it out, constituting a Sharks knock-on. unfortunately. So they gave the try. The Warriors commentators or the New Zealand-based commentators were not particularly happy.
Oh, how good! How good were the New Zealand-based commentators in this era, and how one-eyed they were.
Although the funny thing, actually, they did have an Aussie commentator, but there was an Aussie commentator that was who was that exporter? Terry Hughes, I think, was the main commentator, but they had a few Kiwi
offsides. Graham Hughes was the ex-Australian guy who commentated the New Zealand matches.
Yeah, sorry, it was Graham Hughes. So you're right, Graham Hughes. But there were the New Zealand commentators both on Fox coverage or Sky Sports for New Zealand and the ABC radio.
I can't remember the Sky Sports guy's name. If you can remember his name, put it in the comments. The one-eyed New Zealand guy. I have no problem with a one-eyed commentator just clearly being like for the team. I reckon it's great. Like, it's just kind of funny. And then if their team loses, they get really annoyed. Like, oh, damn it. It's like Paul Gallen and Andrew Johns when New South Wales lose. It is entertaining.
Oh, you've got to have that passion in there. So heading into the second half, straight away, Stacey Jones put a good kick downfield, and then we made an error, put us under pressure. And he, as we were talking before, with Joe Vangana, run a great decoy line, and Stacey Jones dummy to him, went straight through and scored. They kicked it from out wide to lead 14-10. The Warriors, again, were all over us. This was a real get-out-of-jail game for us, and it showed our tenacity, I thought, that our defence kept turning up, and then eventually we found a way. So Brett Howland got an 80-metre intercept from a Hermanson pass. It was a bit Australian. He'd been playing well up until that point to score to make it 16-14.
Did it look like catching him, or was he just away?
Nah, he was away. Once he got it, he scored fairly out wide. I can't remember. It might have been Sean Hoppy was coming across on the angle, kind of keeping him away from under the post. But yeah, there was no one catching Brett Howland. And then Robert Mears scored a try out of dummy half. He shaped the markers were slow to respond, and he just burrowed through under the posts to put the Warriors up 20-16 with 10 to go, and it was looking a bit nasty. And then the moment, one that summed up the Sharks' season, I think, in that we just continued to turn, even when it looked like the chips were down, even looked like backs to the wall. The Warriors had turned us around, put us on the back foot, and we were looking gone, basically 2-3 tackles in the set. We're on our 20. Then we shifted left, and then we made a bit of a mini break down the left, and then another quick play. The ball got us going again, and then Chris McKenna put Brett Howland away, who went for a bit of a scurry, kicked it, a bit of a banana kick back in field, and David Peachey was hooking through in chase. He towed it forward again. It was a foot race between Peachey and Lee Odenryan. Peachey got a awkward bounce, unfortunately, missed the ball completely, scooped up by the Warriors, and then Peachey, in a great move from behind, punched the ball out backwards, scooped up by Sean Ryan, who handed off to Colin Best, who dived into the right corner, ran away to dive in the right corner. The Warriors or the New Zealand-based commentators were spewing because the Warriors had got out of jail.
That was like brilliant Peachy moment, wasn't it?
It was just brilliant Sharks play. It was of that era, that 99 or that 90s Lang team that just could score from anywhere. And in the wet, in the rain, when it looked like that they were gone, they found a way and did it. And even when we turned over possession there, Peachey found a way to get it back. And then Colin Best scored in the corner, teeing up a great moment, one of my favourite Mitch Healy moments. And on Mitch Healy, he put together quite a few good bombs in there, quite a few repeat sets. It was unfortunate he had 2 unforced errors in the first half, and the commentators were talking about him being a bit out of form. And he had shanked a kick from just to the left of the post earlier in the match, but way out on the right touch line, not a favoured side for a right foot kicker in the wind and rain, and he curled it perfectly, starting on the right. It just curled straight between the posts, straight over the black dot, kicked it, gave us a 2-point lead with 5.5 minutes to go, and the Sharks held on. Almost should have been 26 or 28-20 in that. In a flip side, they put a grubber through. Right on full time, the commentators are saying all the Sharks need to do is wrap up the ball. Instead, Adam Dykes puts an attacking kick in, and Brett Howland appeared to have scored in the corner. Sean Hampston set it upstairs, and I can't see how it wasn't a try, but they claimed that there was separation. It was no try, and then right on full time, the Warriors had a chance from the 20-metre restart to go the length of the field. Stacey Jones put a kick in, but it was fielded, and that was it. One thing that I don't know if... One thing watching this match did remind me of, I don't know if you ever watched that original or played that original rugby league game on original PlayStation, Xbox with that like the Mount Smart siren.
The Mount Smart. Yeah.
The Mount Smart siren was going off in this game, so that was bringing back memories of that great or not so great game. But this one, It was a get-out-jail game for the Sharks, a much-needed 2 points to get the season back on track. And for the Warriors, it was a sign of things to come. If you want to slide to the next slide, and we'll have a look at how the rest of the season felt, the fallout for each of these clubs. There were the scorers there for you, pretty close, 4 tries to 3 in the end. But the Sharks obviously ran out and finished first. We know how that season finished, but had a pretty good end to the season with some good wins. We lost to Melbourne at home.
Out of that season, did we won that season, did we?
Spoiler alert. Yeah, no, we've chatted about that later. We've chatted about that before. I'm not touching that again.
We're not chatting about that ever again.
Yeah, but the Warriors, who only had 5 wins going into this match and was sitting 15th.
They then won a whole bunch.
They won a whole batch. They won a whole bunch, including
it was 11, so that's right. 8 teams made the finals, didn't they?
Yes, 8 teams made the finals, but they did actually have a win over the Knights with a full strength side, including Andrew Johns, 42-0 a few weeks later, and the Knights finished in the top 4. So that was a good indication of where the Warriors were at. And actually, I remember a lot of critics saying at the time, going, "Oh, the Sharks, they mustn't be much chop. They could barely beat the Warriors." As I stole your line before, they're hot and cold. When they were hot, they were really good. They had a great forward pack. They had Stacey Jones and John Simon doing really well in the halves and a pretty dynamic backline. So they probably underachieved during that period, the Warriors, while the Sharks was good to get out of jail with a win there. For us, the following week, we played against Melbourne at home and we lost that one. We didn't lose again until the prelim final after that. So we rounded the season off well, but not well enough.
That's such a good take on the Warriors match. We look forward to the Warriors match in round 1, 2024 season. If you'd like to hear more from the ET stand. Oh, sorry, I'm stealing you a bit, Williams. You're wrapping up this.
That's okay. I can wrap it up. You're the fearless host. Thanks, David. Hit the like and subscribe.
Pleasure coming in, Matty.
Yeah, hit the like and subscribe. Main thing is, hey guys, one of the key things that got me really excited about doing this project was talking about these old matches. I'm looking forward to talking about niche wins from 2003 and 2004. So please put your comments in. The aim is that every team we play each week, we will cover a classic match from it. Put in requests if you want. Obviously, not every game's on YouTube, and that makes it difficult. So we're going off memories and Rugby League Project and the stats that those awesome guys provide there. But this one was one that was available, so it was good to take a trip down memory lane. I look forward to covering it next week. It looks like we're going to be covering everyone's favourite winner, the Dogs.
I'm putting in a request myself, Williams.
Okay, sounds good.
2001 semi-final versus the Bulldogs. I was there live. One of the great matches.
Look at that. But on a tangent, everyone's got their favorite wins over those the teams that they hate, the teams they dislike. One idea we did have was going through the top 3 or top 5 wins against each of these clubs, but you run out of data or run out of content pretty quick there. So we're looking to do some deep dives. This only takes about 15 minutes. If you want to get involved, let us know. If you want to, come on, just let us know.
If you've got a favourite match that you really like, you can, if you subscribe to the channel, then we'll surely get you on to talk about, one of your all-time favourite matches, because it is good fun going down memory lane and looking at these.
And if any fans in New Zealand, any connections that were there that match, or knew anyone that was at that match, or happens to know Brett Howland or Colin Best or any of those great players from this team, or Lee Oden, Ryan, let us know and we'll go from there. So thanks, David. I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next week.
Thank you, Matthew. We'll see you. What do we got coming up? Tuesday night, we've got the ET Stand normal podcast at 8:30
We
PM.
are. Normal podcast, 8:30. We'll touch on this one and we'll go through everything else to do with all the fallout or the lead up to round 1. Gosh, it's hard with the Vegas stuff, it's hard to keep track. But yes, round 1 for us starts this week. So
coming up. Yeah. And then Friday night, post-game, we will have the debrief.
Yeah.
With some of us fans on that. And thanks for coming along.
With me driving for the first time, do you end this with a video or do you just hear and recording? I'll let you do it.
Video. Do you want to say thank you and just end the video, Matthew?
Yeah, I'll say thank you and you can hit the button. Thanks, guys. Go Sharks.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.